There are people who say you cannot score in charity shops in 2022, and I'm here to say they're dead wrong.
Videogames! Rush trips!
Hello again folks, and welcome back to another video, and this week I want to prove a theory wrong. There are people who say you cannot score deals in charity shops in 2022, and if the past 7 days are anything to go by, they are dead wrong. I have had possibly the best 7-day stint of charity shop hunting I've ever had, and it was only over 2 towns, and in some stores I even found nothing. You are not going to believe what I picked up in the past 7 days. But before we jump into this crazy 7 days, I want to remind you folks watching at home to please hit that like button and please subscribe, as I put new videos out every Saturday live at 5 and I want you along for the ride. Now, before we jump into the main video, I do want to go into a bit of somber news. Recently there was a bit of a disaster in one of my local towns around the area of the charity shops, and there was a fire, and it's something I wanted to talk about before we jump into the main video. You can see here then from this footage, which I took off Facebook, how bad this fire was. And you know, when I heard about this, I was obviously concerned about all the people. No one was hurt in the fire, and you know, a lot of businesses and also flats were destroyed, and you know, it was a really big disaster, and I didn't really know what to expect would happen to the charity shop. As you can see here, the fire got incredibly close. So when it finally came time for me to go up there and visit it doesn't really have a Facebook page or anything like that. I wasn't really sure what to expect. So you can see here, a couple of days later, what was left after the fire. As I said earlier, no one was hurt in the fire. There was a few homes lost, which is a terrible shame, and obviously the businesses underneath. But I really wanted to see what had become of the charity shop. And I'm actually surprised, like, from the ferocity of the fire, that more damage wasn't done. Especially as I came to the end here, I was honestly flabbergasted. This was just a couple of days later and the charity shop is still open. It's like you can see there, it's like the fire just stopped at a certain point before what is easily one of my favourite charity shops. And you know, there was a lot of damage, and it is so strange how fire reacts sometimes. Like, all of this damage and nothing happened to the charity shop, which is, you know, an absolute miracle, and one I'm eternally thankful for. Unfortunately, inside the charity shop, there wasn't really much to write home about, but I'm just glad the charity shop's fine, as I've picked up some amazing stuff here before, and I'm sure I will again. But the thing is, the other store in the town was a totally different story. I was lucky enough to come across this massive selection of original Xbox games. You know, I'm happy if I see 1 or 2 of these original Xbox games, but to see this many and the caliber of these games, like Blinks the Time Sweeper, Spyro the Dragon, each game I pull out is just a decent game. Well, maybe not Full Spectrum Warrior, but you know, it's some really good original Xbox games in here, and these were all £2. And if you've been watching for a while, you'll know if I ever see original Xbox games I don't have, I'm going to pick them up. I wasn't sure about picking up Crash, as I'm not really into the classics boxes. Worms Forts is a game I don't think I've actually seen before, or you know, same as TY the Tiger 2. Like, I've seen the first game quite often, but not the second. Grabbed by the Ghoulies is a classic original Xbox game, which I did not have in my collection and do now. Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, an absolute, I've said about it on the Gamecube before, an amazing couch co-op game. Worms 3D, like, whoever's game collection this was, they donated to the charity shop. It was a very good collection. Like Worms 4 Mayhem. And these games are in such good condition. I even have, you know, the psychotic bit of plastic on the side. But to find all of these games in one store, in one hit for £2 each, a miracle. You may not know, I'm a bit of a board game aficionado, and Codenames is a board game which is really good. So when I saw this Marvel themed version of it, do you know what, I thought I'd pick it up. It was a couple of quid, but you know, if you can get board games that are complete and checked in a charity shop for a decent price, they're always worth picking up. And yeah, I definitely recommend this one. To pick up all of those original Xbox games in one go seems like a miracle, but that is not the only miracle in this video. So I recommend you do this. This is my one tip for game hunting in charity shops. Always ask if they have other games. Normally they'll have stuff in the back ready to put out. Sometimes they'll let you buy it, sometimes they're saving it back so they have some stock to rotate. This time when I went in, they said they had a Gamecube. they had a Gamecube donated with a Zelda game and some other games, and I had to try and hide my excitement. They said it needs to be pat tested, it needed to be priced, and it would be out sometime this week. That's right, my local charity shop had a Gamecube donated, and you know I had to get it. So I was told this on a Tuesday. I went in every day this week. So I think this was on the Thursday. They still hadn't priced it up by this point. But I decided to pick up a couple of Xbox 360 games. As you can see, most of the original Xbox games were gone, but they had restocked a lot of the games. So yeah, I do enjoy these Transformers games. I know they're not the deepest or like the greatest games of all time, but for £2, definitely going to pick it up. Same as Call of Juarez, The Cartel. I think I played the original one of these on the Xbox 360. Never got around to playing this one. I think it's the second or third. So let me know in the comments down below if you've played Call of Juarez, The Cartel. Sim Animals, I just wanted to have a look at it because I don't think I've ever seen it before. I picked up those Xbox 360 games on a Thursday, and that day I spoke to the manager and they said the very next day, on the Friday, they'd be putting the Gamecube and the games out on the shelf. But you're going to have to stick around to the end of the video to see what was in that games bundle, how much it costs, and more importantly, if I picked it up. You would think that is enough amazing finds for one weekend, but I was on my way to Wyndham, and again, you will not believe what turned up in my local charity shop. They had a cabinet full of vintage video games. You can see there, they had Soul Calibur on the PlayStation 1. They had an actual PlayStation 1, Alone in the Dark, a game called Crazy Ivan, which I've never seen before. But the main event, look at these Game Boy games. Have you ever seen a Pokemon game in a charity shop, let alone in 2022? It's absolutely crazy, and there's some other really good titles there as well. I never even knew Abe's Odyssey was on the Game Boy, and a Tomb Raider game I've never heard of. And what's more, they said in the future there was more games to come. I had to pick up a couple of these now, but you know I was coming back later in the week. As we all know, it is getting rarer and rarer seeing vintage video games in charity shops, let alone Pokemon Silver. Who would have thought in 2022 we would see Pokemon Silver? I'd found nothing else that day, but that just made the day worthwhile. And they said to come back later in the week as he was going to be putting out more games. So that's what I did later in the week. We went back for more. So earlier in the week, I hadn't found much around the town, but I do always check because that's the thing. You never know what changes in under a week. And the first thing I found was something not too exciting. FIFA on the DS, but I feel like you don't see FIFA on the DS or the handheld consoles as much. And, you know, this was complete, and, you know, I am trying to build my DS collection, but, you know, FIFA 10, not really an ideal game. On to the next store, and the first thing that caught my eye was this graphic novel. I'm always looking for cool graphic novels to add to my collection, and yeah, the artwork of this kind of reminded me of The Boys, and yeah, that kind of more adult orientated book, especially on the back when it said it was like, it's like the Nightly News meets Fight Club, so it was quite interesting. But I took it to the checkout and it was a £5, which, you know, with my limited knowledge of graphic novels, was a bit too high. The next store we were back where we picked up that Pokemon game earlier in the week, and the first game that caught my eye was this Sniper Ghost Warrior game for the Xbox 360. There are so many decent Xbox 360 games you can pick up in the charity shops, and if I see one I don't see very often and it's cheap, chances are I'm going to pick it up and add it to the collection. It's such a fun console to collect for. Cabinet had been restocked, and the first game I saw was WDL Thunder Tanks, and I tell you what, if I can find in 2022 a complete black label PlayStation game for under a £5, chances are I'm going to pick it up, and this one looked pretty fun, to be fair. There was also some more low-value Game Boy games, as well as like this kind of PlayStation Tarzan game. I wasn't really, if that had been Black Label, maybe I would have picked up. Platinum I kind of stay away from, but, you know, let me know in the comments down below who had this 5-in-1 Game Boy game when they were younger. I think we all did. So there was no more Pokemon games, but there was The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX for the Game Boy, as well as some amazing other Game Boy titles. They were around the CX price, otherwise I'd have picked more up, and, you know, I already have WWE Betrayal, if not I would have picked that up, but I can't believe picking up another amazing Game Boy game in the same week. We had found not one, but two god-tier Game Boy games in the same week, in the same charity shop. But I know the main question on everyone's lips is the Gamecube. Well, folks, I went back, I found the Gamecube, let's have a look. Yeah, I'll have a quick look. Here it is then, a purple GameCube with Zelda Wind Waker Special Edition and other SSX Tricky and Die Hard. Like, to see this in a charity shop and the controller was in such good condition. That was what amazed me about this entire bundle. Everything was in amazing condition. By this point, I had already agreed a price. They had looked the price up online and they were happy to sell it for that price. And I was more than happy to pick it up for this price. It just goes to show you can still get the deals in charity shops in 2022. Like, it's just perseverance. You have to keep going in
£30
all the time. You can't rest on your laurels. You just have to keep hunting.
Lovely. Yeah, sounds good.
That's right, folks. I managed to pick up this GameCube with games in a charity shop in 2022 for just 30 quid. It goes to show the bargains are still out there. And the thing is, with this bundle, everything is in such amazing condition. Like, there is no fading on this GameCube. Yes, it's a little bit dusty. It's been pack tested. And the thing is as well, it comes with the matching purple memory card. It may be a third party one, but memory cards are getting more expensive. And the thing is, this thing is in amazing condition. This is in better condition than the actual purple GameCube I already had in my collection. So this is going to be replacing my GameCube, and I'll probably get rid of my lesser one. Even the controller in this bundle is in amazing condition. Like, all the sticks are nice and clicky, all the buttons work, and it is just in amazing condition. If for nothing else, this bundle would have been picked up for just the GameCube controller, but it even came with games. Perhaps the even crazier thing about this bundle though is that it actually came with games. So first off, we have Die Hard Vendetta. Not the most valuable or the rarest game on the GameCube, but it's just amazing to see GameCube games in a charity shop in 2022. Next up, we have SSX Tricky, a fantastic snowboard game. Not the best snowboarding game on the GameCube and not the most valuable. Again, a solid title to pick up. And without doubt, the MVP of this pickup is The Legend of Zelda, the Wind Waker Special Edition. And this thing is in such good condition. I already own this game, but this one is in such good condition. I'm going to replace my copy with this copy. Like, it is fully complete with both discs, including the 2-game bonus disc, and the level of complexity of this game. So it has the instructions, as you'd expect, the kind of basic customer information, but it also has the Nintendo 24/7 VIP card. To get these in games, and even more incredible, it is unscratched. To have this in that copy of the game truly makes it complete. Of course, I already have a GameCube in my collection, but this one is in such good condition, I'm actually going to replace mine with this console. In regards to the games as well, yes, I do have these games in my collection already, but to be honest, all three of these are probably a condition upgrade for my game. So I will be selling my copy of the Wind Waker, and the crazy thing is, on eBay, this is a £30 to £35 game. So just for the value of this game, I'm going to recoup my money for the entire bundle. It just goes to show how crazy this week was. In the same week, I picked up all of these original Xbox games for just £2 each. You are seeing original Xbox games less and less in charity shops in general. And there are some good titles in here. Most noticeably, we've kind of got Blinks the Time Sweeper. That's about a £6 game. Spyro Hero's Tale is a couple of pounds. And like some of the ones you wouldn't really expect, like Grabbed by the Ghoulies. Again, an absolute classic, £5 or £6. And randomly, the most expensive out of these was actually Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. But the thing is, all of these games are fully complete. They were all £2 each, and I'm sure they would have set you back quite a bit more in CX. As well as picking up those games for the original Xbox, I also managed to pick up a couple of games for the Xbox 360. The 360 is a fantastic console to collect for, as you always see decent games for it in the charity shops. They're normally super cheap. The first of which I picked up is Transformers Dark of the Moon, and this is actually a £5 game in CX, so pretty happy to pick this one up for £2. The other two aren't too exciting. Call of Juarez, The Cartel, I haven't actually played this one, but it'd be quite interesting to play, and Sniper Ghost Warrior, which I know very little about, but for £1.59, I'm not really going to argue, add another game into my Xbox 360 collection. If you didn't know, I am a bit of an avid board game player, so whenever I see a board game in a charity shop, especially one I recognise, such as Codenames, I'm always tempted to pick it up. Obviously, normally when you pick games up from a charity shop, you do run the risk of it not being complete, but thankfully this one has been checked. If you haven't played Codenames before, it's a fantastic game. I've played it quite a few times with friends, and I'm really looking forward to checking out this Marvel-themed version of the game. I could not believe the calibre of retro games that I was finding in charity shops this week, and it was so good to find some PlayStation 1 games, the first of which is Crazy Ivan. A game I literally have never heard of, know very little about. It was $5.99. Sadly, it's not complete. It was a bit weird. It's kind of in this double disc one when it only has one disc. It doesn't say anywhere else on it. It should have more than one disc. I'm presuming it's a single disc game. Not sure the value of this one, as it isn't listed on CX. Like a lot of games such as this WDL Thunder Tanks are no longer listed on CX, which is normally how you can kind of judge how much a game's worth. One of it is weird. If you look at the spine here, someone has kind of got the spine in the wrong direction, so I will be sorting that out. But you know, for a complete black label PlayStation game for £4, gonna grab it regardless. And this one was a bit more expensive and was the exact price it would be in CX's Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, but it is lenticular. That is how you get me to buy something, you make it lenticular, and this is in the most amazing, in case I drop it, condition it has. Even all the mail bits. Remember when games used to have these? So you'd mail away. That's how we used to, believe it or not, children, find out about new games. We used to mail off and would be added to a mailing list. It has all of the instructions, it has even the advertisements, and of course the disc. And yeah, it may have been the same price as CX, but I can't believe the stuff I was finding in this charity shop. We've come to our final pickups in what has been an absolutely crazy week. All of these finds over 7 days is just unheard of. The first game we picked up is Tomb Raider Curse of the Sword for the Game Boy Color. As you can see, this was just £5. This isn't the most valuable game of all time, but it's a Tomb Raider game I've never played. And if I see a Tomb Raider game I've never played for cheap, gonna pick it up. Next up, I could not believe I found a Zelda game for the Game Boy for just £20. This is a £35 game loose. So to pick this up at a charity shop for £20 is an absolute bargain. And probably, even with that Gamecube, my find of the week is this copy of Pokemon Silver, which I paid just £20 for. Again, this is a £35 game in CX, and yeah, to find one of the things I found this week would be amazing, but to find all of these amazing things over the space of 7 days, amazing week. So there we have it then, folks. It just goes to show you charity shop game hunting in 2022 is alive and well. You just have to stick to it. Never give in, never give up, keep searching. The bargains are out there and you will find them. It's just consistently looking is the key. But let me know in the comments down below, what is your best charity shop find of 2022? As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe, and as always, keep playing the game. See y'all soon.